It's not only for incinerators, but also for cars, and there we have it. All right, now I'd like to move on to the next European proven technology that Aquilini would want to use. It's right there, the process block flow diagram. You can see it there. This is coming from a company named Thermoselect, this block flow diagram. Now, Thermoselect is a company that was formed in Germany. They have a seat in Liechtenstein, close to Switzerland, and an office in Italy. And they built this plant. What you see here on that picture is the city of Karlsruhe in southern Germany. And in red, you see the Thermoselect gasification plant, household gasification plant. The claim at the time in the late 90s was to have a high temperature process with pure oxygen, and it's supposed to turn domestic waste, not industrial waste, domestic waste into valuable metals, synthesis gas, and energy. No groundwater required. Synthesis gas is a blend of carbon monoxide and hydrogen, which can be used and has been used instead of natural gas. So it has been has quite a history. Now, the only good thing about this plant here, as I come to it, is that it was built in an industrial area, right where you have all types of other chemical complexes nearby. I'd also like to mention that this plant has been built in an area which is probably the world's center of the chemical industry and chemical engineering. The world's largest chemical companies are nearby in this region. You have everybody else you need, from Mercedes to Porsche to a whole bunch of other high-tech companies there. Everything you need to run a plant, any expertise to run a reactor or anything you find nearby. So that's where they built the plant. The reality, it became a total financial, technical and environmental disaster. So the plant was built and started operations in 1999 and was finally shut down in 2004. So not too long ago, and as I said, a really good place to build a plant like that. It had a capacity of 225,000 tons, a nameplate capacity per year, and was operated, and they had as an owner Germany's third largest power company. These are people who run nuclear plants and all types of other plants. They know their business, they're big. They bought the license from Thermoselect. The actual realized throughput in this period per year was somewhere between 13% in some years and 52% in other years. They had gas explosions, steam explosions, they had frequent malfunctioning of any nature you want, from cranes that were wedged in to severe corrosion, you name it. We could talk about the whole evening here what went wrong with this plant. The plant was in test service, so that's very important for a long, long time. When you're in test service, in Germany at least, and probably everywhere else, and I would not exclude this region here, when you're in test service, you are allowed to do many more crazy things and emit many more chemicals than in the normal test service. So they were actually emitting dioxins about 100 times more than what would normally be allowed, and on and on. So they were granted fantastic emission levels. Now, give you the best year, 2003, when they had a throughput of 117,000 tons a year. And I think this is what Aquilini had in mind roughly for Christina Lake. So at that time, and you heard the claim before, or what they wanted to do, was they utilized 700 million standard cubic feet of natural gas. They did not export any synthesis gas for utilization. That is equivalent to 40,000 tons of carbon dioxide going into the atmosphere and has a little bit of a greenhouse gas effect. They used 400,000 cubic meters, 400 million liters of groundwater for that process. And they actually had applied for 1 million cubic meters, which is 1 billion liters per year. They dumped each year between 90 and 120,000 cubic meters of of wastewater. That's water you would not want to drink into the sewer system. They generated 27,000 tons of slag, 1,700 tons of zinc concentrate, 1,100 tons of sulfur cake, 3,200 tons of highly toxic mixed salts, and 700 tons of other material from this process. Now, behind each one of these, you see, had to be treated as waste, as industrial waste, as toxic waste. They had claimed to use all this material for road construction, for getting gold nuggets out of it, or for using it elsewhere. They could not. It was of such a poor quality, inconsistent, and dangerous that it had to be dumped into mines, salt mines, and used elsewhere. It had to be treated as hazardous waste. They also had fantastic SO2 emissions. Oops, I have to run here. And it was shut down finally in 2004. It had $1 billion loss, financial loss. The CEO of the company, of the operator, lost his job. He was totally embarrassed. All projects in Europe were cancelled. Endless lawsuits followed. The latest one was just finished earlier this year. Thermoselect, just to say it in a nutshell, is a company, as a project manager, I would not touch with a 10-foot pole. They have a history of lawsuits for bribery, for pollution, for illegal waste treatment, they are in line with people who have a history of tax evasion. It's an absolute very risky company. Some project considerations here, I have to be fast now, is an industrial waste incineration facility is a complex project, it's a complex operation, it's a complex business. It's challenging for any of the big chemical companies. It's definitely not something I want to have a hockey club owner and a blackberry or a blueberry farmer being involved. Now, last year we heard a couple of things, fantastic optimistic statements made to us. At that time, almost no engineering was done. Less than 0.5% of the total engineering was done. This is the way how projects work. So they did all these things. Therefore, in their internal calculation, they must have known that their cost estimate is 50 to 100% too low. I don't really want to see the economics internally, but this is how projects do work. No climatic data were taken here for Christina Lake, the weather information in order to make the emission calculations, so they have no information here there. This takes years to do. No environmental impact assessment, no concept for waste heat and synthetic gas utilization. If they would use synthetic gas, they would have to lay a whole grid, a whole new network for users